I have been absolutely loving what this Terran player has been cooking up in Terran vs. Zerg as of late. What I've got for you today is a best of 7 series between two of the very best players in all of StarCraft 2, where in game number 1, for some odd reason, we find ourselves on the map Mothership. Now, spotting right here in the top left, playing with the blue SCVs, we have none other than Maru. His opponent, all the way in the upper right, still joined by Vorazun on the main hatchery. Playing in red, we have Shin. Okay, now this particular best of 7 was played during one of the later rounds at the RSL. Basically the replacement for the GSL. This time around, though, it is entirely community run. And, well, Maru, in general, he really loves this format. He has won more GSLs than anybody else under the sun. As you probably know by now, he's one of the very few StarCraft 2 tournament millionaires, in the sense that he has won enough prizes over the years. Well, I think right now to be up to like 1.5 million or so. Either way, Maru, certainly one of the most successful tournament players of all time. And usually he really shines in the type of event where you get a little bit of preparation for your opponent. So we've seen this, for example, in some of the other series that I did cast already from the RSL. Maru just looked pretty much unbeatable. He was playing weird build orders, at least weird in the sense that we don't normally see them. He was even mixing in Terran mech. I think Shin can basically expect a little bit of everything. But it's going to be a tough call, I think. A tough uphill battle for Shin just across the board, because Maru is just such a star when it comes to this type of matchup. Then again, Shin has looked very strong as of late. We haven't really seen Serral play too much ever since the new balance patch went live, but Shin is certainly amongst the very best Zerg players on the planet right now. And while his style is maybe a little bit more predictable than Maru's, at least in this matchup, I think it'll be a tough task for Shin across the board, but he certainly does have what it takes to be able to take on somebody like Maru. Now, it looks like we're going to open up with very normal builds. So this is going to be a fast command center on the low ground. Very fast third command center as well. It's even before the factory. So Maru opening up with a very greedy start, but one that does look a lot like the more conventional triple CC build. One of the difficult parts, of course, on Mothership is that this is a triple spawn location type of map. Ooh, a little bit of miscontrol there. He was trying to go down to the... Probably accidentally double-clicked it somewhere. Anyways, wait, Brenda, Did Brenda just poop a creep tumor from the front? I didn't even want to think about the Queen Anatomy, but that was weird. Anyways, there's a third spawn location here down at the bottom. And because of it, it's quite difficult to really open up with some really aggressive early game cheese. Because say, for example, Shin wants to go for, I don't know, a 12 pool. That would be terrible against Terran anyways. But he's got like a 50% chance to run to the wrong direction, right? To run to the wrong location. So it is the type of map where you can get away with a bit more greedy styles like the one right here that we've got for Maru, who's opening up a good old triple command center, triple barracks. Okay. Now, this is quite uncommon. It's not what we normally see Terrans go for very frequently. And it's one of those timings that hits ridiculously hard. Normally, Zergs will have a certain number of links that they will have to prepare in advance. Say, for example, it's a 16 Marine drop, right? So, a very normal style that we've seen a lot over the years. 60 Marines, 2 medevacs, Stimpack. Usually, you want to have, give or take, 30 or so Zerglings. But this is going to be way more than 16 Marines, but it's obviously also going to have a third command center on the back of it, but no medevacs. All the timings get a little bit weird, and usually I found that does benefit the Terran quite a bit, because Zergs, well, technically they can play very greedy, and Shin certainly is doing something a little wild and wacky here too. They usually do have to have the right tools available for the right job. Now, he's going to be opening up with very quick mutalisks here. So Shin does have a third hatchery. Interestingly enough, his third is later than that of the Terran. Technically, Maru will have all of the units available for defense, but will he actually have them in the right place at the right time? Factory only starts up right now. Will we go for any sort of missile turrets blindly inside of the base? I think it's going to come down to that very first wave of mutalisks. Now we have some defensive Bane starting up here for Shin, so I guess he is a little concerned for this move out. I don't even think Maru really wants to attack with this. Probably just looking for like maybe an Overlord or two, or maybe, I don't know, a Creep Tumor. Very small chance he actually wants to commit. No, we're just doing a bit of sightseeing. And then we go back home. Yeah, Spire is going to finish up right now, though. Stimpec is done. There's a 0% chance that these Marines would win a straight-up fight with Zerg right now. And I think Shin at this point is calling the bluff. But the damage has already been dealt in a way, right? Those 6 Banelings, that gas probably should have been saved. Is this too aggressive, though? I think it is a little bit too aggressive, eh? For Maru. Pretty conservative movement there as well on the Banelings. Now the Mutas go in. So, question is, how much damage can these Mutas do? Because Shin has effectively put himself behind quite significantly, eco-wise, just to be able to get these units down. Okay, SCV's over at the 3rd base. Should likely... Oh, no, we're gonna go for the units? Oh, he wants to go for the throat. Is this the right call? I guess it might just be. Usually, Mutas are used as an aggressive tool to try and just deal with the eco of the opponent. But you know what? Shin decided to reroute his units and went after the army. And now we are gonna go and take out some of the workers. Now, Mutas are going to be killed eventually by the Marines. But this has actually turned out to be really good damage by Shin. Yeah. That's what you get for not having a missile turret in your mineral line. Looks like the SCVs that were pulled in the direction of the wall off for safety did eventually get used as well to keep that wall up. 18 SCVs down, though, and obviously a full evacuation of the 3rd command center. Lovely bit of damage done right there by Shin, who has now caught up with full 3-base saturation of his own. Evo Chambers, of course, very late. We have 2-2 already started up here for Maru, whereas the 3rd, yeah, is only going to see the 1 upgrade starting up. There's the 2nd here for Shin. But Shin can effectively soft contain his opponent here on 2 bases. As weird as it is to see Mutas being used for a soft containment, it is still pretty powerful, and it looks like he wants to follow this up with probably Lurkers. Muta into Lurker was a style that we used to see. Haven't really seen it much, to be honest, on the latest patch. Usually you would go like, maybe a dozen to 15 or so Mutalisks, and then make the transition towards Lurkers. And basically, while the Terran is preoccupied trying to not die, you have all the time in the world to make the switch to Lurkers, but... still going to be quite a ways off, and maybe he wants to just stick around on Hydraling Vein instead. Okay, Maru has made a move outside of his own natural expansion. But, as he is just about to secure the 3rd, the 4th base of Zerg is already just about to be secured. And furthermore, that 4th base of Zerg is going to be pretty much fully saturated right from the get-go. Whereas Maru only has, well, SCVs for like 2 bases and a little bit. That scan was nice, but I don't think it was worthwhile. The big advantage, though, that Maru does have is the 2-2 upgrades. Having the +2/+2 here... Oh. I accidentally... I switched my game to full screen the other day. I had to Alt-Tab right there for just a second. Turns out when you're in full screen mode and you're recording, it pauses the video! Ruined! How is anybody ever gonna hit the like button? You should probably go hit the like button, by the way. Anyways, how's anybody ever gonna do that, right? But anyways, what we have here is a very nice advantage for Maru as far as the upgrades go. So he could still go for a big timing attack. The spawn locations also are not terrible here for the Terran. As long as he can, like, get onto the creep and actually, yeah, for example, push the creep a little bit further back, maybe in the direction of the Zerg's natural expansion, there is a chance that, like, one big push is going to work out wonderfully. Now, so far, this game really feels like a Brood War match, right? We have Shin even going for normally the 3rd player's main base, far away from any of the other expansions that he's got. just to try and keep everything going. And what are the odds, really, of the Terran moving in that direction? Lurker Den, by the way, is coming. Hive is also started up here for Shin. Secret little drone transfer. And I'm a little bit worried here for Maru, right? Because you can have the upgrade advantage. But what in the world is this army going to do against lurkers? The clock is ticking. Immediately upon him moving out, the Zerglings decide to move in. Hold position here as well to try and maximize the damage done to the SCV line. Man, that Lurker Den feels like it takes forever. He's got the Hydras, but I think the defense will have to be done without Lurkers, but probably just with pure Hydraling Bane. Oh, this is still really good though for Shin. Yeah, this is still really nice for Shin. Because if this Terran breeds for just a moment, Lurkers are gonna get morphed in. Still though, gonna need a lot more units. Oh, I don't know if I love this positioning on the Banelings. Maru is a little worried. He doesn't know exactly if there's another group of Lings out on the map, and here they come. Seismic Spines is also researching. That's the extra ranged upgrade for those bad boys. And I think with Lurkers out, Maru's timing attack chances are gone. He's getting a 4th command center, so he is trying to play macro on the back of this. He's getting the Liberators going. No ghosts, but Liberators are still nice to get. I'm a little bit afraid, though, here for the Terran player, because what in the world is he gonna do against those Lurkers here early on? We could see a Nidus network. I wouldn't even mind it here for Shin. Alternatively, though, he could also just try to walk the Lurkers towards this base. Or maybe towards, like, the newly, soon-to-be-taken 4th command center, right? Maybe he wants to build a planetary up here. I mean, Lurkers burrowing right next to it are going to be the easiest thing to take that out. Nice little counterattack here, though, from Maru. He has not seen that base over at the bottom, but he did just snipe one of the new expansions. He sees a random drone transfer, though. Okay, that's a little bit suspicious. Still, the rest of the Terran army is being dragged out further onto the map. Medevac drop is going to be heading in this direction. He will see the edge of the creep. Not much he can do about it now, but he might be able to return in a moment to actually finish the job. Where are those Lurkers? Ah, okay. They're going in for the counterattack on the other side of the map. This will be the first time that Maru sees them. Fight over here off creep. I don't like this. I do not like this for Shin at all. Maru actually getting the perfect engagement here because of that proxy base. Banelings don't achieve anything. Lurkers in the meantime, though, are getting a good bit of damage done. Some of them are moving towards the natural expansion. Not all of them will be able to burrow in time. No Nidus Worm available for those Zerg units to escape. Hatchery over here is going to get killed yet again. Reinforcing Terran units over in the natural are doing a good job. Adaptive Talents is done right now, but it's a little too late as some of them have already died. Most of the Lurkers actually at this point have already died. Looks like there's no more anti-air available, though, and this base over here at the bottom of the map will live for a little bit longer. Maru, though, still pushing. He just took out the 4th of Shin. The leftover Hydras that were hiding in the main base, in a corner of the 3rd player's main base, they have morphed themselves into Lurkers, and I think that will be quite nice for keeping this expansion alive for a little bit longer. I can't believe Maru has actually dragged this out to be a really playable game. Like, not that long ago, Zerg was at, like, 4 base saturation, whereas Maru was stuck on 2, right? Like, it was stuck on 2 bases. How has Maru, like, navigated this game still in a direction that is very playable? Kinda speaks volumes over the skill of this guy. Because he lost the Marines over here, right? That was stupid. And that was, I mean, at this point, like, 8 minutes ago. But anyways, when he lost those Marines over here, the entire game kind of got flipped upside down. Then the Mutas obviously ran through as well, and there was no counter for them. But Maru has somehow, some way, guided this game into a very playable spot. As a matter of fact, supply-wise, he is currently ahead. I think Shin got too committed, by the way, to this base. He's been desperately trying to keep it up. But I guess we saw why we don't really use this. Really, we go up the ramp just like that. Maru, you absolute madman. I think it's the right call, though. He's actually just here to take down the hatchery. Blinding Cloud does affect Lurkers as well. It does affect any neutral Zerg unit. Hatchery is down, but he did not quite kill the drones. Ghost Academy now coming up for Maru. 5th Command Center added into the mix. Man, Maru is such a dangerous player. Genuinely such a scary, scary Terran. He doesn't need much, right? To be able to get back into a match like this one. Lurker here being annoying, but that's not going to be enough. Hatchery over here. Yep, he's going to get denied. We have a cheeky Liberator up in the air working away at the mineral line. And while this hatchery will be, built at some point yet again, all of this is an insane amount of lost mining time. If we look right now at the income advantage, Maru pulls ahead for the first time in about 10 minutes. AKA since the triple command center start. Now what is the next step in the master plan here, Maru? He's getting ghosts out. Ooh, this is a mistake. 11 SCVs on idle. Oh my god, the hatchery finally finished. Looks like he looked at the clock and he decided to himself, you know what, 16 minutes, that's when I have to get back towards that bottom right-hand corner. Gets the job done, picks up the Marauders, gets out. In the meantime, what has Shin been cooking up? Well, more of the same. Problem is, he's doing more of the same, whereas Maru is doing less of the same and more of the counter. So, previously, it was only the Liberators. Now it's also the Ghosts. Good EMP right there. Night is wormed out coming up, and this is the big addition here for Shin. But in straight-up fights, I am liking this Terran army a hell of a lot better than the one that he had a few minutes ago. A couple of disjointed lurkers. Some of them, though, are going behind the natural, but there's nothing to harass. We're 17 almost minutes in. This base is practically irrelevant. At this point, Shin is fighting imaginary SCVs, I guess. Tactical nuke, by the way, coming up. Feels kind of unnecessary as well, but I guess Maru has a little bit of wiggle room. Slowly builds up the command center count. The old orbital command, yeah, it has moved to the front. Is this, by the way, the second factory? Yeah, this is finally the second factory. That's crazy late. Now getting the drilling claws upgrade coming in. Dancing on the perimeter of the creep. Exactly where he needs to be. Nah, no way. No way, Shin. Not gonna happen, dude. Oh my god. Maru wins this? I mean, it's not over yet. But this was just about the perfect early game. You know what, though? This little run-by over here is putting in a ton of work. And this fight here at the front was an overextension for Maru. He was very busy microing the ghosts, but he lost all of the other units other than the Medivacs. He is on 8 Rex, so that'll be nice. But I think this will be Shin's shot right over here. He's got a very good opportunity to potentially still bring this back. Good EMP right there. Both of the Vipers without energy. But the Planetary Fortress looks like it will go down. Banelings need to be used conservatively because Shin is not rich. Used right now mostly just to, okay, zone away those ghosts. Looks like the Orbital Command even may be in some trouble. Reinforcing Terran units, though, are popping up. I'm noticing a little bit of a overextension across the board for Shin. Right? We've seen a lot of little moves where he just overstays his welcome ever so slightly too long. It must have resulted in about a half dozen lurker kills by now that could have all been prevented. Still, this does bring the grand total of SCVs killed up to 61. The combination of the push over here in the middle and then also the fight over here on the left really does put Shin back into a playable spot. But I am still not loving it for him. The creep spread is just so lacking and Maru does not show any signs of slowing down. Here we go. Zerg trying to go in for a surround, but yeah, it looks like it's gonna be enough units for the time being, at least, to grab this position back. Both players, though, have their economies now reduced to a very small amount. Neither player really wants to go too much more into those hive-tech units, it seems. But Shin, getting out-positioned over here, recognizes that he's gonna lose the base in the front. I cannot believe that Maru won this first game of the series. That's crazy. So this was the position 6.5 minutes into the game. I kind of assumed... I mean, it's never over until it's over, right? But I've seen many high-level games of StarCraft over the years. I kind of assumed that this right here was game over for Maru. Like, look at the position objectively now. We're 7 minutes in. Terran's at 64 supply. Shin is at full 3-base saturation. Sure, the upgrades are nice here for the Terran, but that's really the only thing he has left to stand on. From here, Maru is going to spend minutes taking the 3rd. In the meantime, Shin is going to fully saturate the 4th before the 3rd base is really reliably taken. I will say that maybe the hive transition was a little bit slow. We probably could have had that a little quicker, but... my god, the fact that Maru still climbed back here is kind of nuts. Next up, we find ourselves on the map Evil Heart. Map number 2 in this best of 7 series. A problematic first game for Shin. He was doing incredibly well. Until he wasn't. Yeah. Up until minute 8 or so, he was dominating. But then the second half of the game happened, and it never really went according to plan anymore. The problem is that you can't really hope for a better early game than what Shin had in the previous match. We are mixing things up right now, though, as he's going for a gas first, skipping the hatchery. Gas into a very quick spawning pool here. My point is that you, most of the time, are gonna get macro games from Maru. And you are gonna find yourself in a worse position than what Shin was just in the first game. Right? So if we get a repeat of a similar spot, it's very likely that Maru is not gonna be taking nearly as much damage. I mean, the difference one missile turret would have made... it can't really be understated, or overstated rather. It would be difficult for Shin to get an advantage like the one that we just now saw. So maybe we have some new plan, maybe some new aggressive plan here from Shin. Because I think if he decides to go for the exact same thing yet again, he is not gonna be happy with the result. SCV Scout will be heading across. This is critical here for Maru. Getting in the information that it is indeed a spawning pool first and not a hatchery first. It means that the Reaper will likely have to stay at home. So Maru sees the timing of the hatch, knows that it's a pool first. And therefore, what is the Reaper gonna do? Well, maybe we'll dance across for a little bit, but we probably won't make it all the way. Oh, Roach Warren. Shin is going to Roach Cheese Maru. Okay. Now, this is a different opener than the triple command center, triple barracks. This is the more conventional double command center into factory, and then eventually a 3rd CC. At least that is the plan. But yeah, we're doing effectively, I think, a 7 Roach Rush or so for Shin. Remember the 7 Roach Rush? If you're a StarCraft boomer like myself, this was a common build in like 2011. I'm not even exaggerating. This is what people used to do when StarCraft 2 had just come out. So you wait for the first inject. All of those larvae are going to become roaches too. Hello. Okay, a little slow. Actually, he decides to go for... I guess he wants to build some Ravagers instead. He did obviously go link speed. Alright, maybe some modern variant on the thing instead. Couldn't make Ravagers back in 2011. Those weren't introduced until several years later. But I mean, Maru now sees this attack, right? Coming in from a mile away. The only problem is he gonna respect it? Look at Maru here. He just built a 2nd barracks. He's still gonna go Hellions. He will be evacuating the low ground, apparently. I find this a little bit overly greedy here, though, from Maru. So what Shin is trying to sell is that this is just like a quick link speed opener and not much more. At least there won't be any Ravagers. The idea is that the Ravagers can boil down anything on the high ground. No bunker, though, on the high ground here for Maru. Likewise, also, no Banshee follow-up. He built a super quick third command center, despite seeing that his opponent was doing something a little bit weird. Did Maru just get a little bit overly confident? Or maybe not. You know what? The Sim City here, this little funnel is kind of perfect for Hellions. Yeah, the problem is, right? Maru has triple command center. And 14 SCVs is nice. But Maru is massively ahead after this. Because he's gonna start dropping mules 3 at a time. And that alone is more than the economy that Shin has in total. So even though this felt unnecessarily risky, Maru yet again navigated this pretty much perfectly. There's the triple mule. And we can all watch the income go in favor of Terran here over the next minute. That Sim City was flawless. It felt a little gimmicky. I would have liked to see a bunker just for, like, safety. Because, I mean, you can just salvage it, right? Get the majority of the resources back. When you know your opponent is pretty much all in, you may as well. Oh, my God, Maru. Maru, stop hurting him. He's already dead. Yeah, it's impossible not to be a Maru fan if you're a fan of high-level StarCraft. This man seems to be an absolute disaster to play against. What a beast. 10 drones go down. Maru is at 31 SCVs with triple command center. This is crazy. I can't believe he scouted it and then decided, you know what, triple command center, Hellion. It will do just fine. No bunker needed, just Sim City. I think at this point, the SCVs will win the game. Maybe a little overly ambitious, but seriously, though. Yeah, there's no way. Shin, you can't play this out. I mean, you can sit in this game for... Okay, yeah. You can sit in the game for a while longer. But I don't think it's gonna, yeah, be a good idea. Game number 3. We find ourselves on the Celestial Enclave. Actually, I saw some upset YouTube commenters, and you guys are right. The Celestial Enclave. Sorry, I had almost forgotten about it. Thank you for keeping me in check. Shin decided to open up with a very fast triple hatch. So this is a gasless triple hatch opener. I mean, it does sound very celestial, right? To have a little bit of reverb on your voice. Maru now scouts it, and he decides, you know what? I'll just build my third command center on location too. This is the biggest middle finger you can give to a Zerg. It is unnecessarily risky, but I mean, he's 2-0 ahead, right? Like, what is Shin gonna do? Shin's opening up gasless. He wants to maximize drones and queens at this point. The odds of him running a bunch of slow lings around the map are basically 0. Maru, oozing confidence. You love to see it. Maru scouts the greed. He's like, you know what? I will counter your greed with even more greed. Triple command center, all built on location. Double Evo chamber, or double engineering bay right here, rather. Before a starport or anything along those lines. Yeah, I wouldn't want to play a best of 7 against Maru, dude. Oh, no. I mean... Shin is not playing badly, by the way. That's kind of the little caveat. Shin is not playing poor StarCraft, but it does feel like a little bit of a mental block. Okay. Third command center right now is done. Shin decides to Overlord Scout. Conventional time for the Overlord Scout. And it looks like the one Marine here, the 2 Marines now, they are going to not kill this Overlord fast enough, so Shin will know that he has been out-greeded by the greed. So what does Shin do? Start up a 4th hatchery. Make even more drones. This is one of those weird, like, gentleman agreements right now. This is the StarCraft 2 equivalent of like 10 minutes no rush. It only happens if both players agree, but sure. Now, can you outgreed a Zerg? I guess that's the real question here. If you're Terran, can you really outgreed the larva mechanic? Because larva is just nuts, right? Like, look at the worker count right now. Both players are fully focused on eco. Shin is very far ahead in that department. I don't think you can really fight the larva mechanic very effectively. But apparently, Maru does not care. So who will go for the first attack? Maybe we won't fight at all. Maybe we're gonna pause the game and settle this one through the chat window with diplomacy instead. It's one of the many options available to us. I think it's likely that somebody is gonna go for an attack though at some point. Maybe rock, paper, scissors? I mean, if Maru offers, I think you take it. The odds are good. Yeah, I think those work out. Anyways, Hydrodon coming up. Bailing speed coming up as well. Yeah, if they do like a fist fight or like arm wrestling or something along those lines, I will say that Maru's chances will plummet very quickly. I think Shin in that case... Ooh, lovely little bit of shuffling. I think Shin in that case has it in the books. But when it comes to StarCraft, Maru, an absolute beast. Maru, by the way, I've seen some people ask about this. Maru apparently got an exemption for his military service. It's very rare, apparently, in Korea to get such a thing. But he apparently played so much StarCraft that his entire shoulder is completely messed up. And therefore, he got an exemption from having to go to the military. I'm a little conflicted on whether or not that's a good or a bad thing. But I would personally hate having to do a mandatory military service, so you know what? I guess we'll... Yeah. It does mean, though, that Maru does not have to go off to the military sometime soon. Which is usually, like, the big bottleneck for a lot of the Korean pros out there. You can be on top of the game for many years, but then you have to take, like, a mandatory year-plus long break. Yeah, from what I understand, it's very rare, because there's many, especially Terran players, over the years that have had some sort of mobility issues. Be it wrist, be it shoulder, be it neck, be it whatever. I guess it's especially the marine splitting that is extremely demanding and just very unnatural movement. But especially Terran players seem to have those issues. But, for example, Bjorn has had problems for years as far as I know. Although his, I guess, are different, but he certainly did go to the military. Now, this little Overlord drop was spotted. And that turns out to be a great interception here for Maru. Missile turret starts up because of it. That OV is already low HP. I highly doubt Shin is going to commit. Maru scans the main base, sees the timing of the infestation pit. And I think everything here is going really quite nicely, especially for both players. It's weird because Shin has basically been able to do whatever he likes all game long. And yet, I find myself favoring this for Maru. I just don't think there's a lot of people out there that want to play Maru in the late game. But winning a game like this would obviously be massive for Shin. Spire coming up. Hive also finally building. I feel like that infestation pit started up a minute ago. A little bit late on the Hive start, but it doesn't really matter all too much. And look at the creep spread right now already for Shin as well. It hasn't even really been his main focus. But you can see what happens when it's not like a heavy Hellion opener or anything along those lines. When Terran is going for a very passive start, the creep can become disastrous. I'm actually very interested, excuse me, to see what base Shin is going to take after this. Assuming there is an after this. Oh my god, he decides to collapse. There's so many siege tanks. No way. No way. Yes way? I still think that's a good fight though for Maru. Yeah. Putting the trigger into that many tanks is nuts. Maybe if you have a Viper or two, but like I said, the Hive was late. Maybe if you have a Viper or two, you can commit there. Ah, that was horrible for Shin. I think Maru would have been happy to trade armies. Win the fight is even better. The siege tanks, by the way, apparently get to roll to the front lines now after surviving that little debacle. Well, maybe we're not going to get to this point. I've been playing a bunch of ladder again myself. And after the spot that we just saw Shin be in, so after this base and that base and then the one over in the far bottom right, I don't know where to expand. I don't know where you go. Where do you go as a Zerg? Do you take this one? Do you take this? All of them feel terrible. Come on, Maru, let the men breathe for a little bit more. Where do you expand to next? So Maru is likely to expand over here. And then also still the top left. I'm not sure which one he would take afterwards. Ghosts, by the way, are starting to come out as well. Look at the splits already. It's like an AI sometimes, man. There's a lot of Banelings available, but I just don't know if there's enough Zerg. Hatchery is one sneeze away from death. Yeah, and he is going to target it down. Shin, in the meantime, though, is doing a nice little link counterattack. But the problem is, killing 12... Oh, Brenda! Karen, get back onto the creep! Back before the Brute Lords, I could fly. Sure, Brenda. Sure. Damn, Liberator. That was unnecessary, man. You didn't have to... Alright, whatever. Yeah, this is not good for Shin at all. The problem is, right, you can kill 12 SCVs. It's obviously a nice amount of workers to be killing. But killing 12 SCVs when Terran already has like 5 orbitals and like 3 planetaries, it's not gonna do much. That is rebuilt so rapidly. Shin's eco, though, is still looking pretty darn good. But I do think this map in general, at least from what I've seen in my own games, might just be that I'm terrible. But I feel like the late game on this map is kind of difficult for Zerg. Because there's just not a lot of bases to take. Now, this was a good cleanup. Hatchery actually lives for this time around. Oop, saves the siege tank too. Looks like this medevac may be in some trouble. Yep. That's a good catch right there for Shin. But as beautiful as his creep spread was a few minutes ago, as disjointed and patched it is right now, not the end of the world yet. But Maru is not showing any signs of slowing down. He's not gonna let this Zerg player sit here and spread the creep all over the map again. Here goes the Zerg, though. Blinding Cloud is nice. A secondary Blinding Cloud onto the other 2 tanks. Okay. Shin striking back. Not enough Lings available, though, to really sustain this fight. You know, it's always drastic when the Ghosts start, well, sniping Hydralisks. For lack of a better target, you may as well use their energy. Oh, Banelings get morphed in right now. I think this is all that Maru is really going to need to strike. Siege tank gets within range. Couple of Banelings finish up. Nice splits already, though. And I feel like that's a key in Maru's fights every time, right? All of these units, they were just also beautifully split up. So far, this series is going exactly according to plan for Maru. I don't think he can complain about anything. Well, maybe the Mutas catching him off guard in game number 1. I feel like that was really the only time he had to sweat a little bit. Or a lot of bit. Or a lotl, which is like a little bit, but then a lot. I think we should make that a word. Why is there a little but not a lotl? Such an obvious thing. Anyway. It's going to be a triple command center opener yet again here for Maru. And he's doing the same build as what he did in game number 1. So this is a triple command center, I guess a triple barracks. Should be a triple barracks. Where's his SCV going to go? Yeah. So triple command center, triple barracks. Super greedy opener. And in game number 1, it didn't really work out too well because the mutas sort of caught him off guard. And because he overextended pretty hard with those marines early on, he probably didn't expect the slow banelings to be available. But it wasn't really because of the build, it was because of the execution of the attacks, right? And then obviously the counterattack right there from Shin. So let's see if it's going to go a little bit better here this time around. So look at this. Triple command center, triple barracks, straight into double upgrades. No factory anywhere in sight. If you want to play like a minimalistic Terran build, if you want to take minimalism to the next level, this is basically like a marine-only strategy where, sadly for you, you will have to mix in some other strategy or some other units at least into the strategy at some point, but you can get away with just SCVs and marines here for a really long time. So, what is Shin going to do this time around? It is a quick lair yet again. It is also some extra gases. I think we're basically having a repeat of what we did in game 1. Now, that one ended up being a Terran win. But honestly, those first 8 minutes or so of the game were basically phenomenal for Shin. And I think he was quite upset with the follow-up. Yep, here we go again. Spire, super quick. But so far, Maru is making Terran look pretty broken, right? Now, if you look at the overall statistics of the matchup, it is not. So that can only mean that it's Maru being Maru. There's, by the way, finally the factory. We already have barracks 4 and 5 added into the mix. Third command center is going to fly down to the low ground. And honestly, seeing the overseer here, I mean, if you see an overseer at this point in time, I think you should immediately assume that there is a chance that mutas are going to be there. Because in order to go for an overseer, you need to have a lair. For the lair to be done and the overseer, furthermore, to be done by minute 5, it can really only mean that Zerg has rushed up to the lair. So what are they likely going for? Well, I mean, it could be something stupid. But I feel like with the latest patch, 9 out of 10 times it has to be mutas. Now, will Maru actually build up any sort of static defense? One big difference here is that he's not wandering around the map like he did on Mothership. No, he's not building up any static defense. Oh, there he is. Okay. He's just waiting. 450 or 550 or so is when he started up one missile turret in a natural expansion. I guess he will add on more, but he wants to have confirmation of the mutas before he does so. Alright, Shin. Time to send in the flippy flappies. By the way, these two did already play a best of 5 series during the RSL. Now, both of them managed to stay alive in the tournament for long enough to have a bit of a rematch. I did also cast that previous series, if you want to go check it out. A very fun one as well. It is up on the YouTube channel. Maru somehow, though, looking even more dominant in this one. Crazy stuff. Yeah, these mutas are not achieving anything. They're not doing anything! Yeah, okay, so, look, game 1, similar openers from both players, ended up being a Terran win, but after a much more successful first attack wave with the mutas, now basically Shin has achieved nothing, and we are playing the game out as we did in that first game. So, like, this is, all signs are pointing towards a much better game for Maru, and Maru ended up winning that first game. To be fair, though, to Shin, there were a bunch of misplays from the Zerg. He was very attached, it seemed, to that base that he hit out on the map. And when he got spotted, he decided to commit really heavily to it. Maybe he's also going to skip out, actually, on the transition towards lurkers, because we already have more mutas than we did back then. Yeah, I think he's actually not going to go Hive. Maybe he wants to go Ultras later, or something along those lines. But it looks like we are skipping out on the on the lurker transition right now. Contamination. Okay, I was wondering why the +2 was no longer progressing there on the production tab. I gotta say, I love contamination. It's such a cool ability. Wouldn't mind seeing a little buff to it. Maybe we should do that as another viewer challenge, you know? Lately, I've been casting viewer games with challenges, like, for example, Battlecruiser rushes. Those games are really fun. Maybe we should have a mass contamination run, where for every game, you need to make a dozen overseers or something. I'll think about it for a little bit, but I think that might be really fun. You could technically, like, mass contaminate stuff for a really long time. Rarely used at the pro level, though, but here we go again with Maru. And whenever Maru moves out, look at how well spread everything is already. Like, he's never going to be caught off guard by a gigantic clump of banelings. Well, in this particular instance, mistake number 1! In this entire series, it seems, from Maru, he actually doesn't just lose 1 mineral line, he loses 2. Hold up. What is Maru looking at this point? So this is Maru's point of view. How did he just lose 2 mineral lines worth? No reaction there. No reaction there. Wow, he just looked at it. I mean, I think he was trying to box over them. But he was trying to keep those mutalisks in track. I'll take control of the camera again. That was more successful than Shin could have really hoped for. I swear, every time I try to hype up a player... I just spent 5 minutes talking about how much better this situation is for Maru compared to the first game. And how the games are basically identical. La 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 la. Whatever I do, man, it always happens. What was that? Okay, big counterattack in the meantime, though, for Maru. The caster curse is real. Baling Nest does go down. +2 does get denied. But at this point, it looks like this game is going to end with, like, a base race? I mean, maybe if Shin can go busting up the main ramp. That's the problem. There are still Marines up there, but 19 mutas is a lot. Orbital Command does fall. Main base is next, though, here on the side of the Zerg player. The Spire just got destroyed. You know what? The age-old adage still goes that you do not base race a Terran. Now, usually that's because their buildings fly. And I don't think it's necessarily true anymore in 2025, but... is this a mistake right here from Shin? Looks like he's going to be bringing the units back home. Maru's going to try and bring the command center back down to the low ground. Big fight on creep, though. And I think a fight on creep can only benefit Shin. He did quickly rebuild the Baneling Nest, by the way, which is huge. But let's see. Where will those Banelings crash? Okay, they will crash into whatever they can hit. It looks like the Marines are mostly picked up in the relative safety of the Medivacs. Drones are going to sacrifice themselves, which I disagree with. Just wait for the links to show up, and then right-click the Medivacs here instead. Yeah. We, by the way, once more, have a base in the far top right. Similar to what we had in the first game, when it was in the far bottom right. Oh, Shin is getting a little anxious, right? You can see here that he is not happy with how this is being cleaned up. I think he's being a little overly ambitious with the way that he's engaging this. There's no need for the rush. But I think he's trying to get rid of the mental block. Because Shin's tournament results against Maru have not been great. Oh my lord, did he just... what just happened there? Oh, there were 3 Hellbats behind the mineral line? So as this was being cleaned up, I didn't see them. Shin didn't see them. Maru did, however. And you know what? If we have to look for an advantage, Maru has 3-3 done. Shin, by the way, in all the panic, is making 2 spawning pools. There's one. Okay. Sure. Nah, this game is... I don't want to call it too early, but there's no way that Maru can... I mean, I liked it better when those extra drones lived. I will be honest with you. Muta's right now find the reacquired natural. No missile turrets anywhere other than the one in the main base's mineral line. And I think this is plenty of Mutas anyways to shut it all down. Base in the top right, though, does get spotted. Shin decides to just run the drones away. I think that's the right call. He's on top of the production, right? And this is the absolute worst place for a Zerg player to be if you are a Terran player. Most of the Terran units are just simply getting picked off as they spawn out of the barracks. As long as you hold position them, there's not much you can do. Lair is being remade. Baneling Nest may also end up going down. But I think there's plenty of Zerg units available. No Widow Mines or anything along those lines here in the... Oh, actually, there were a couple in the back. But nothing all too crazy here that can really distract from those Lings and Banes. Oh, natural expansion even fell. Actually, I think that was the old third base that then was... Anyways, repositioned. Yeah, I'm getting a little bit of deja vu now. Medevacs inside of the main base yet again, with nowhere to run. Say it, Maru. Say his name. Or just type GG. Your god. No way. No, we have no Heisenberg in this game. No. Shin, I mean, he's pretty badass, but I don't know if he's Heisenberg's level of badassery. I'm not so sure about that. Maru actually does not give up. I kind of love it. I feel like oftentimes we see pro gamers stepping out early. I think this is Maru trying to min-max the mental damage. Don't give him the satisfaction. Look at Jimmy over here, still killing a drone. Shin is giving his opponent a little too much respect now, I think. Oh, Maru, you absolute bully. Maru has taken his lunch money and then he's still waving it in his face. Either way, it doesn't matter in the end. Shin does get a point on the board. So I decided to look it up. Next map, by the way, is Botanical. I decided to look it up. Apparently, leading into this particular best of 7 series, Shin was on a 24 series losing streak against Maru. The last time that Shin won against Maru was in 2019. That's like a year ago. Maybe 2? Who knows how long 2019 was? When was that anyway? That's crazy. Especially for the professional level. I was just wondering because I feel like across the board, Shin is playing a little bit rocky, right? He's not playing the super stable StarCraft that we have come to expect from him. At least when you compare it to what we have seen over the last couple of months. Shin just making a few uncharacteristic errors, which, look, can happen to anybody in a big match, right? When you're playing for a very significant amount of prize money, like, for example, in the RSL, what this particular series is from, it's normal to get the tournament shakes, but Shin really does seem a little bit more shaky than per usual, because normally he isn't. But I guess that explains it. There might very well be a bit of a mental block. Now, scrolling down through their match history over the last 6 years, or, sorry, how long was it since 2019? Anyways, a few of those losses were against Maru's Protoss. And I feel like those games hurt. Like, losing against Maru's Terran, look, that hurts. That sucks. But losing to one of your main competitor off races when you are already on a multi-year losing streak? That's gotta sting. That has gotta be the absolute worst. Okay. Well, Botanical is the map, and Maru decides to open up with a good old double Rex. These two did play a phenomenal game on this map in that previous RSL match that I did recently cover. One of the very best games of the year. Reaper here, though, being a little bit of a nuisance. Command center in the meantime on the low ground. All of this off of just a single refinery. Triple hatchery opener right here for Shin. Nothing all too surprising. He pulled out a gas fully. Getting that good old metabolic boost rolling here. Triple command center start here as well for Maru. So all of this is very normal. What's the follow-up exactly going to be? Most of the time, it should be into Metavex, but sometimes we see Terrans getting a little bit shaky. And, you know, maybe go into Benchies. And this was the map where Maru... Whoa. Whoa! Sorry, what? Those Reapers just made the jump of a lifetime. They went from, like, right here to right there. We'll see that again in just a sec. Sorry. This is the map where Maru previously played mech. I wonder if we're going to go into mech again. Look at this little jump. Or little. My god. There are like some maps where... Yeah, this map is actually a little bit buggy in general. We've had the same thing as well spotted in another series. Where... apparently these rocks... Wait, which ones are it? I'm not entirely sure. I think it's these rocks right over here. They're attackable from the high ground with Zerglings. So it's a weird spot somewhere. I'm not exactly sure if it's this one or if it's another set of rocks. But... there are some weird... little quirks that are only on Botanical. This is, by the way, not an official tournament map pool. Just one that they are running for the RSL. Which I think they actually decided through like a fan voting system. Not exactly sure how they did it, but it was something along those lines. Where I think fans of the tournament, fans of the game, they, yeah, they got a vote in. Man, those jumps are insanely long. Alright, anyways, they got a vote in to... I believe at the very least, to decide the map pool for the tournament, which is pretty sick. So far, though, the early game defense was smooth right here by Zerg. I don't think you can really complain about much. A couple of Zerglings died, but against a triple barracks, or triple Reaper start, rather, that is nothing out of the ordinary. Oh! I was just gonna check what the follow-up was going to be from Maru. Now, this is a variation I have not seen before. The norm is to go for a factory eventually, but this is Maru going for command center? The Orbital build? What do we call this? I need a name. This is double Rex into Orbitals. Now the factory finally comes up. Shin is going to see this. He's not gonna be happy. Maru tried to hide it. Okay, there's barracks 3, 4, and 5 building at the same time as well. Yeah, and now Shin has recognized that he is going up against an exceptionally greedy Terran. And I feel like I've used those words like a dozen times already to describe what Maru's been doing throughout the series. He's greedy early on, but not so greedy later on. So, for example, I've not seen Björn have too much success as of late in this matchup. That's not me roasting him, it's just an observation. I feel like what Björn is doing in the late game a lot is adding on an insane amount of command centers all at the same time. Right? Like, we see him going into, like, this command center addiction almost, where he just keeps on building command centers. Maru is basically getting half of the command centers that he's going to need for the entirety of the game. He's getting them out of the way by minute 5. And truthfully, what would Zerg do about this? Well, there are a few things. Say, for example, it was a Roach Ravager Ling follow-up, right? We used to see those quite a lot, where Zerg goes for like a Roach Warren at, say, 30, maybe like, I think it's like 32 works or so, like 3.5 minutes into the game. You do like a Ravager push with a Zergling flood on the back of it. Alternatively, you could go for like a Baneling bust. My god, ladies, I think it's injected. Sorry, man, but this hatchery is a bit of a player. That's crazy. Yeah, like a dozen queens injecting them all at the same time. What's the problem with these other hatcheries, man? Calm down. All right, what was I saying? This guy hasn't been... Okay, finally, he got injected again. Yeah, I think I've seen this in a movie once. Anyways, sorry, what was I saying? Completely lost my train of thought there. Yeah, I was saying something. It sounded pretty intelligent in my head as well, but you know what? Completely lost it. Alright. Bailing speed... Bailing speed is gonna finish up. Eventually. No, but the meme is, right, that Maru is getting this greed out of the way. Oh, right, what I was trying to say. I remember now. Zergs don't usually go for those type of early game pushes anymore because of a couple of things. Well, we saw it first off with the Baneling bust, right, that we had earlier on with like the Zerglings and stuff not really getting, or the Roach Ravager push in that second game of the series, right, where the SimCity on top of the high ground was so good that Maru held anyways. Secondly, though, the norm is to go for Banshees. So we see triple command center Hellion Banshee pretty much every game from, for example, Clem, right? And that is the type of build that shuts down effectively any sort of Roach Ravager build by just existing. Just having Banshees out. I mean, you still have to, like, micro. But Ravager pushes because of it are extremely rare. Now, notice how in this particular series, Maru has not made a single Banshee, if I'm not mistaken. Maybe that would make those sort of attacks viable yet again. But Maru is basically getting the greed out of the game very early on, and now he's cruising. Speaking of cruising, this is a pre-9-minute Ultra Cavern, which always means that Zerg is being pretty aggressive as far as the tech goes. Then again, though, we are going to be playing Ultralisks against one of the very best micro Terrans. I have less faith in the Ultralisk here than Shin, but let's see if he can make it work. Okay, yet again. Ooh, the SCVs turning their weapons, their drills. To those units for just a moment. It's going to be 18 SCVs dying. It looks like maybe the hatchery will live. No, it doesn't look like it with the reinforcing group of Marines showing up. That hatchery is dead. Little Baneling, Zergling roll by as well at the bottom. Not a lot of kills there, but still some. Reinforcing Banelings now available for Shin. Medevacs pick up what they can. Have to go back home. Push over here as well on the right side. Looks like the, little group of Lings here and that one Baneling decided to unburrow again. Get a couple more kills in, then run away. Now, normally this would be disastrous for Maru, but Maru is already up to the Orbitals, right? And then he's getting a Fiftable. Fiftable? Doesn't really roll off the tongue as well. And then also another command center. So I'm guessing this one is going to turn into a planetary. This, I guess, is one of the downsides of opening up with 4 orbital commands early on. None of them are planetaries. Yeah, and that makes these Ling run-bys a lot more dangerous, right? They are a lot more difficult to pull off. As a Terran player here. Could still build a planetary fortress next to it. Wouldn't even hate it. He's actually going for 6 orbitals, 0 planetaries. Dealing a lot of damage, by the way, with these cheeky little medevac pushes. That's another hatchery going down. In isolation, I don't hate it, but everything combined does make it pretty oppressive here. 9 additional drones end up dying. Okay. Now, Shin is going to have a powerful push in him, though, and that is something I'm a little bit worried for here for Maru. The Ultras are soon going to have their full upgrades. Oh. Free Viper. You never look a gift Viper in the mouth? I don't even know if they have mouths. Yeah, I guess so. Where else would the abduction come from? I don't even want to know. Anyways, it is going to be a big power spike here for Ultralisks. There's only 3 of them, though. Yeah, I don't know. It's also just such a difficult map to push. I guess the base over here at the bottom is pushable? A lot of supply depots here to confuse the pathing of Ultralisks a little bit. If that is where Shin wants to go, I think it's going to be pretty bad. Look at Maru again, though. Look at the minimap, just streaming anywhere he can go. We have a triple-pronged aggression lined up, even though in theory this should be the Terran's moment to be defensive. Zergling run by yet again, though, and I gotta say I love these here from Shin. Leaving a couple of burrowed units behind as well. Push at the front, decent, but not achieving that much. Push over on the left side, though, very effective as he snipes a secondary hatchery with it. Barra bomb goes down, nice and all, but very quick split off right there as well from Maru. That hatchery, by the way, is dead now. I don't know what the queen saw in it, but the inject is no longer there. Wow. There's the big review of the Ultras. They just died to a couple of Marines and Marauders. Yeah, and this is kind of turning into one of those Maru games where it's starting to snowball. He's not even doing anything too fancy. It's just little bits of multitasking here and there. Obviously, you have to play exceptionally fast to pull this sort of thing off, and it's not easy by any stretch. But at this point, the snowball has turned into an avalanche, and I'm not sure that Shin can stop it. Like, Shin is desperately trying to put out all of the different fires all over his bases. Ultra Cavern is even going to go down. Looks like the Medevacs will finally die. At least those two. But we are honestly waiting for a big attack straight through the middle of the map. Maru, by the way, is not really committing to an all-in or anything. He's going into additional command centers. He's already got 6 orbitals. 2 more are going to be available in a moment. He's adding on additional CCs as well. Just took down another base in the middle. And this is just one of those typical Maru games. Insanely greedy early on, though, it has to be said. But then this is the result. If you can make your opponent fight imaginary Banshees, you can get away with levels of greed that are just insane. And it's kind of glorious. Yeah. The imaginary Banshee is the most dangerous thing that Shin has played against so far, because I think in a lot of these games, if you just went for like some sort of, I mean, maybe not like a super early, like what was it, like an 18 drone all-in, but like maybe like a 32, 36 drone or so push. There's many of those available for Zerg. Very uncommon, yet again, because of the Banshee in the modern day and age, but any of those attacks, I think, would have been wonderful in this series. In this particular instance, though, Maru got away with the greed yet again. And that means that he obtains the victory 4-1 over Shin. And it's not like Shin is playing poorly. Shin honestly played some really solid StarCraft here across the board, but Maru is just on another level in this matchup right now. I'm trying to think. I have seen, I think, about 4 or 5 matchups of TVZ on the new patch featuring Maru. I don't think he's lost a single one. He's looked like this in every single one of them, and he pretty much makes it look easy. He killed a grand total of 7 hatcheries here in this particular game. That's nuts.